The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. Growing up, Robert Kiyosaki went to the same school as the rich kids, simply because he lived on a different side of the street. Being poor in a school filled with affluent students made him seek an answer to the question, how do I make money? His best friend Mike was also poor, and so a friendship was struck between the two. The two spent an entire morning one Saturday brainstorming all the ways they could make money. Their first project wasn't a success, nor was it legal. They decided to cast nickels out of lead to make money literally. With a quick explanation of the laws of counterfeiting from Robert Kiyosaki's poor dad, the pair went back to the drawing board. Robert Kiyosaki's poor dad suggested that the two learn how to make money from Mike's dad, Robert Kiyosaki's rich dad. Poor dad had heard from his banker how good the rich dad is at making money. Mike arranged a meeting time, and the two began their lessons. Robert Kiyosaki arrived at 8 o'clock sharp for his meeting with Mike's dad. When the meeting began, the rich dad told the two that he'd be happy to teach them, but won't be doing it in a classroom style. He proposed that the two boys work for him so that he can teach them faster. The two weren't allowed to ask questions about the deal. And so the first lesson was learned: opportunities are fleeting, so you need to jump on them when they arrive. He offered to pay Robert and Mike 10 cents an hour for 3 hours every Saturday. After a couple of weeks doing excruciatingly boring work, Robert told Mike that he wanted to quit. This response is what Mike's dad was hoping for. Before his meeting with his rich dad, Robert Kiyosaki's poor dad told him to demand what he deserves, at least 25 cents an hour, and to quit his job immediately if he didn't get a raise. Robert went to meet with his rich dad but was forced to wait 60 minutes longer than expected, which infuriated him. Robert felt that his rich dad hadn't kept his end of the bargain of teaching him, and that he was just trying to exploit him by making him work for him. His rich dad noticed that Robert had sounded like his employees after only 1 month. Rich dad insisted that he was teaching Robert, but in a way that life teaches, not in the way that school does. The most effective way to learn is by doing, though most people consume education from books, which is the least effective way. The main lesson he taught in the office that day was that Robert could either end up like his employees who blame others for his problems, or he could take another path and become a wealthy man. Rich dad had suggested that the two boys find a new way to make money outside of working for someone else. Lesson 1: The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. Rich dad also shared how happy he was that Robert Kiyosaki got angry. He said, anger is a big part of the formula, for passion is anger and love combined. Fear is what controls employees, that causes them to exploit themselves. Rich dad continued, it's fear that keeps most people working at a job. The fear of not paying their bills, the fear of being fired, the fear of not having enough money, and the fear of starting over. Employees often feel disappointed looking at their paychecks, especially after tax and deductions. This was 9-year-old Robert's first introduction to taxes. It's also how he learned that the rich don't let the government do that to them, even though they earn more. In a new deal, Rich dad negotiated that Robert continues working for him, but for free. For the next 3 weeks, Robert and Mike worked for their rich dad for free. Then, on the 3rd Saturday, he took them out to a park for some ice cream. He decided to introduce him to the trap of the rat race. He did this by offering to pay them 25 cents an hour. They said no. Rich dad then offered $1 an hour. They said no. Then, $2 an hour. They said no. Then, $5 an hour. And they once again said no. The boys knew that they couldn't be bought. They were committed to becoming wealthy. Rich dad later pointed out that poor people often say they're not interested in money. Robert Kiyosaki thought back to the times his dad would say, I'm not interested in money. I work because I love my job. This is how poor people often cover themselves up. It's essential to not give in to your emotions, such as fear, so that you can prevent any quick reactions and think objectively about a situation. The reality is a job is merely a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Rich Dad's focus is on teaching the boys how to have a choice of thoughts, instead of a knee-jerk reaction to things. One of the most empowering lessons Rich Dad taught in this section of Rich Dad Poor Dad was to keep using your brain, work for free. Soon your mind will show you ways of making money far beyond what I could ever pay you. You will see things that other people never see. Most people never see these opportunities because they're looking for money and security, so that's all they get. This lesson inspired the two boys to find a new way to make money. On one Saturday, they noticed Mrs. Martin cutting off the cover of the comic books and throwing them into a cardboard box. Since they weren't allowed to resell the comic books, they decided to create a library for a fee where other kids could come over to read as many comic books as they liked between 2:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. every day after school for only 10 cents. This deal was a bargain for the other kids who might have spent 10 cents buying a comic book. Each week, they averaged around $9.50, while paying Mike's sister $1 a week to manage the library. After 3 months, a fight broke out in the library, and Mike's dad advised them to shut down the business. But they did manage to learn how to make money work for them instead of working for money.